Imagine you're out walking, maybe near an old riverbed, and something catches your eye. Something shiny in the mud.
Not just a bottle cap.
No, definitely not. It's metal. You start digging carefully, and there's more. Silver rings, these old coins, maybe a brooch. You've just stumbled onto a Viking hoard.
Ah, that feeling, right? Buried treasure. It sounds like pure fantasy, but look, these finds, they're very real. Thousands of them, actually, popping up all across Northern Europe.
Absolutely. And that's what we're getting into today, a deep dive into these incredible Viking hoards. We've gathered quite a bit of material, articles, research, trying to piece it all together.
Yeah, our goal here is really to unpack the why. Why did Vikings bury so much wealth? What was in these hoards? And, what can these shiny time capsules actually tell you about life back then? The risks, the connections.
Because they're more than just treasure, aren't they? They're full of clues, little pieces of history waiting. So yeah, let's dig in.
Okay, right. So, first off, the scale. It's massive. We're talking thousands of hoards, found everywhere from Britain to Ireland, across Scandinavia, even deep into Russia.
And these aren't small caches, are they? Some are enormous. I read about finds weighing tens of kilograms.
That's right, kilograms of precious metal. And the contents vary a lot. You get these chunky silver arm rings, heavy ingots, silver, gold, beautiful brooches, and maybe the most revealing part, the coins.
Ah, the coins. That's where it gets really interesting, doesn't it? Showing how interconnected they were. The sources mentioned finding like Arabic dirhams next to Anglo-Saxon pennies.
Exactly. In the same pot sometimes. You find coins from England, Germany, the Near East, Scandinavia itself, Bohemia.
Wow.
Samanid dirhams, that's like modern Iran, Central Asia. Byzantine coins, too. Finding this global mix tells you so much.
It's not just a shopping list.
No, it's a map, almost. It shows you how far they traveled, who they traded with, who they raided. They were major economic players, not just warriors. It paints a much richer picture.
So each hoard is like a little snapshot of its time. A freeze frame showing trade routes, reach, maybe who they just encountered. But, okay, the contents are amazing, but the big question hanging over all of this, the one the sources keep coming back to, is why bury it? Why was it put in the ground in the first place?
That is the million dirham question, maybe. Honestly, archaeologists, historians, they've been debating this for ages. Our sources kind of lay out the main theories.
Okay, let's tackle the first one, the most sort of obvious one, the emergency stash.
Right, the practical reason. The Viking Age wasn't exactly peaceful, was it?
Understatement.
Yeah. Raids, feuds, political chaos, danger could literally be around the corner. So if you had wealth and trouble was brewing, burying it might be the safest bet. You'd hope to come back for it later when things calm down.
And the places they're found seem to back that up. Lots are near old farmsteads or along ancient paths. Feels like ordinary people may be quickly hiding their life savings.
It does. And silver is often used like cash. They'd chop up rings or ingots into hack silver, so it makes sense you'd want to save that strategically.
Is there a specific hoard that really points to this?
We'll take the Nuremil hoard from Bornholm. It turned up right next to the remains of a burned building, maybe a house.
Oh, yeah.
And there were signs of trenches, pits, burned wood. It really suggests, a violent event, a hasty burial. As enemies approached, did they get away? Did they die? Could they just never safely return? It asks more questions than it answers, really.
That paints a vivid picture. And other examples fit too, right? Like the Vale of York hoard in England may be linked to Vikings fleeing King Athelstan when he was consolidating power.
Could be. Or maybe it was just their operating capital they hoped to retrieve. And then there's the Cordale hoard in Lancashire, absolutely enormous.
There.
One theory is it's a war chest for Vikings kicked out of Ireland. Or maybe just the personal savings of a very, very wealthy leader playing it safe.
Okay, so the emergency stash theory feels strong, but there's that nagging question you mentioned. If it was just safekeeping.
Why didn't they come back for it?
Exactly. Why are there so many unclaimed hoards? Thousands of them. It seems like too many for just bad luck.
That's the big hole in the simple safekeeping theory, which naturally leads us to other possibilities. What if? What if retrieval wasn't the plan?
Okay, so theory 2, religious offerings.
This ties right into Norse beliefs. The idea is that some hoards weren't temporary hiding spots, but deliberate gifts, offerings to the gods or maybe spirits of the land, meant to stay buried.
And certain places were sacred, weren't they? Bogs, lakes, rivers, seen as portals, almost, to the divine.
Precisely. And we find other things in bogs that look like offerings, weapons, sometimes deliberately broken, tools, even Grimly evidence of human sacrifice, so burying valuable metal could easily be part of that.
What would they be asking for?
Oh, good harvests, protection on a dangerous voyage, success in upcoming raids, appeasing the gods.
There's even mention in the sagas, right? The saga of the Inglings saying Odin wanted valuables put in the earth.
Yes, that connection is made. And a specific find often brought up here is the Hone hoard from Norway, found in a bog full of gold and silver beads. Its location really fits that pattern of watery, sacred sites.
So practicality versus spirituality, emergency versus offering. But there's a third angle, one that feels, well, a bit darker.
Ritual and curse removal. Yeah, this one's a bit unsettling. It comes from looking closely at the sagas again, and also the condition of some items in the hoards.
What do you mean, condition?
Well, the idea is that objects could become unlucky. Cursed, maybe. Linked to a death or a betrayal, some kind of bad juju.
So burying it wasn't saving it or offering it. It was getting rid of it, like a ritual cleansing?
Kind of, yeah, like severing the connection to the misfortune. Sagas talk about ritually killing objects, bending swords, breaking things, and guess what?
You find bent and broken stuff in hoards?
Deliberately bent, broken, chopped up, not just wear and tear. The Spillings hoards from Gotland are maybe the most dramatic example. Huge finds, thousands and thousands of Near Eastern silver coins. Over 80% of those coins were broken into bits, fragmented. It really looks like an intentional ritual act, symbolically killing the money, perhaps.
That is weirdly fascinating and kind of creepy. Could it also be tied to oaths, maybe?
Yeah.
Like the treasure is a pledge, buried as part of a sacred deal?
That's another possibility, yes. It definitely taps into the more superstitious, magical side of Viking beliefs. It wasn't all long ships and axes. There was this whole other layer.
Okay, so three main theories. Emergency stash, religious gift, ritual disposal. And maybe it's not always just one thing.
Exactly. Could be a mix. And looking at specific hoards really helps flesh things out, adds these layers of complexity.
Let's go back to Gotland. You mentioned the Spillings hoard with the broken coins. But Gotland itself is hoard central, isn't it? Over 400 found there.
It's an incredible concentration, yeah. Way more than you'd expect just from random emergencies, which has led to specific theories just for Gotland.
Like the bride wealth idea.
Right. The theory is that huge silver payments were part of marriage contracts. And maybe burying the hoard was the final step, sealing the deal, which would explain why the original owner wouldn't necessarily expect to get it back.
Huh. And that makes you wonder, did needing all that silver for marriages actually push Vikings from Gotland to travel and trade or raid more to get the funds?
It's a really interesting question about economic drivers. The Spillings hoards also had these horseshoe-shaped bangles, unique to Gotland, alongside the foreign coins. You really get a sense of these Gotlandic traders, maybe entrepreneurs, bringing wealth back home.
Speaking of intriguing finds, what about the Herefordshire hoard? That one's more recent. And a bit sad because of how it's handled, right?
Very sad. Discovered illegally, much of it likely dispersed before archaeologists could properly record it. What was recovered is amazing, though. Anglo-Saxon coins, Frankish, Near Eastern, a silver ingot, this beautiful crystal pendant that was already ancient in Viking times, gold rings, an arm ring.
Just heartbreaking that the context is gone.
It really is. We've lost so much potential knowledge about who owned it, why it was buried there. It's a stark reminder of why reporting finds properly is absolutely crucial.
Definitely. Another one to mention is the Huxley hoard from Cheshire in England, found with lead fragments.
Yeah, suggesting it was in a lead-lined wooden box, which is interesting in itself. And the contents were mainly these broadband silver arm rings.
The ones you can chop up, hack silver.
Exactly. They were typical of the style being made in Viking Ireland around that time. Part jewelry, part portable bank account.
So Irish-style rings found in England. Timing-wise, this is around when Vikings were kicked out of Dublin, right? Around 902 AD.
Spot on. So was this hoard buried by refugees fleeing Ireland? Or maybe merchants or raiders operating in England, hiding their profits during a risky period? Again, the hoard gives us clues, but not the whole story.
And we have to touch on Cordale again. Just the sheer size.
One of the biggest ever. Over 8,600 items found in Lancashire. And the mix. Irish brooches, Scandinavian rings, Frankish bits, even Pictish stuff, plus coins from everywhere. It's just this incredible melting pot.
War chest, savings account, still up for debate.
Still debated, yes. It screams wealth and connections, but the exact reason for burial remains elusive.
Okay, one more recent one, the Galloway hoard from Scotland, found in 2014. That one had layers.
Yeah, really unusual, like maybe 4 separate deposits made over time in the same spot. And the items, wow, some truly unique things.
Like that, Jazz?
Well, a silver pectoral cross, another silver pendant cross, this delicate gold bird-shaped pin, a stunning silver gilt-lidded vessel unlike anything seen before, a new style of Anglo-Saxon brooch, gold jewels, and even a rock crystal jar wrapped in silk.
Incredible.
It really is. The Galloway Hoard is just a perfect example of how much we still don't know, how much is left to discover and learn about the Viking Age. Finds like that can rewrite parts of the story.
So we've got all these theories, all these amazing examples. But we keep coming back to that core mystery. Why were so many never dug back up?
It's the most poignant part of the story, I think, the sheer number of unclaimed hoards. It speaks volumes about how dangerous and unpredictable life was then.
People just didn't make it back, died raiding, died on voyages.
That's certainly a huge factor. Or maybe disease wiped out a whole family, leaving no one who knew the hiding spot. Political turmoil could mean forced exile, making it impossible to return.
Life was just incredibly precarious. Your plans, your savings could just vanish with you.
Exactly. That hidden stash becomes a marker of a future that never happened. Each unclaimed hoard really is this silent testament. A life cut short, maybe. A promise unfulfilled. A secret the earth kept for centuries.
So when you, listening now, think about these Viking hoards. They're way more than just treasure, aren't they? They're these packed little time capsules.
Absolutely. Full of history, economics, beliefs, the sheer grit and risk of the Viking Age. They show you those global connections, the financial systems like hack silver.
Which totally changes how you think about money back then.
Right. And they reveal the inner world, too. The rituals, the beliefs, the fears. And sadly, finds like Herefordshire show you why careful archaeology matters so much today.
Whether they buried it out of fear, faith, or something darker. The mystery is captivating. These objects whisper stories from 1,000 years ago.
And maybe it leaves you with a thought to mull over. Considering that chaos, that uncertainty they lived with, knowing any trip could be the last, what kind of treasure would you bury today if you had to? What feels so essential that you'd hide it away, hoping against hope to reclaim it from an uncertain...